The grand chamber of the Galactic Consul stretched like an impossible cathedral of crystalline architecture, suspended in the void between star systems. Hundreds of alien representatives sat frozen, their collective consciousness momentarily shattered by a transmission that defied every known protocol of interstellar communication. Ambassador Zixtal's 9 tentacles curled involuntarily, a biological tell of pure, unadulterated shock. The holographic display before them flickered with an intensity that seemed to challenge the very fabric of reality. Quantum signatures danced across the projection, mathematical patterns so complex they seemed to breathe with an almost living intelligence. The message had arrived precisely 72 minutes ago, cutting through the most advanced encryption systems in galactic history like they were nothing more than children's playground locks. No warning, no prelude, just pure, unfiltered information that sent tremors through the most advanced civilizations humanity had ever encountered. Diplomatic protocols meant nothing now. The chamber itself seemed to hold its breath. Representatives from the Coronan Stellar Confederation, the Obsidian Swarm Collective, and the Quantum Nexus Alliance sat in unprecedented silence. These were species that had existed for millennia, who had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Yet here they were, transfixed by a message from a species they had once dismissed as primitive. Lyra Quantum Stevens, the human representative to the Galactic Consul, allowed herself the smallest of smiles. She knew what was coming. The transmission began to play, its audio-visual components resolving into a series of complex quantum signatures that seemed to pulse with an almost sentient rhythm. Mathematical equations scrolled faster than most biological eyes could track, revealing a technological breakthrough that redefined the very concept of scientific understanding. What humanity had discovered was beyond a mere weapon. It was a fundamental reimagining of physical reality. Deep within the transmission, hidden between lines of code that would take most civilizations centuries to decode, was a message, not of conquest, not of threat, but of a simple, terrifying possibility. Humanity could now manipulate the very fabric of space-time. Ambassador Zixtal's neural processors worked overtime, attempting to comprehend the implications. The quantum cascade technology embedded in the transmission suggested a level of understanding that went beyond conventional physics. It was as if humans had discovered a programming language for reality itself. The Coronan representative, a crystalline being whose body shifted like living light, turned its multifaceted consciousness toward Lyra. "Explain," it demanded, the single word carrying the weight of centuries of galactic diplomacy. Lyra remained calm. Her fingers, seemingly casual, played across a small quantum interface device. Each subtle movement sent ripples of additional information through the chamber's communication networks. "We've found a way," she said simply, "to ensure our survival." The implications hung in the air like a gathering storm. The quantum signatures continued to pulse, revealing glimpses of research conducted in hidden laboratories across Earth. Breakthrough after breakthrough, each more impossible than the last. Quantum entanglement weaponry, space-time manipulation technologies, defensive systems that could literally rewrite the laws of physics to protect human interests. Most shocking was not the technology itself, but the speed of its development. Humanity had gone from a species considered marginally interesting to a potential existential threat in less than a decade. Within the Galactic Consul's chamber, millennia-old power structures began to crumble. The transmission was more than information. It was a declaration. Humanity was no longer asking for a seat at the table. They were redesigning the table itself. Ambassador Zixtal's tentacles trembled, not from fear, though there was plenty of that, but from a growing sense of something else. Respect. Excitement. The emotion was too complex for simple translation. The message continued, its quantum signatures dancing across the holographic display. Each pulse revealed another layer of human ingenuity, another glimpse into a technological capability that defied everything the galaxy thought it knew about scientific progress. This was more than a message. This was a warning. This was humanity's true arrival on the galactic stage. The first wave of the swarm arrived without warning. Silhouettes of impossible geometry blocking out Earth's sun. Massive ships that defied conventional physics hung in orbit, their silicon-based structures shifting and reconfiguring like living nightmares. Humanity had always known they weren't alone in the universe, but no one had prepared for the swarm. Global communication networks collapsed within minutes. Military installations worldwide found their most advanced systems reduced to smoking electronics. Conventional weapons proved utterly useless against technology so advanced it seemed almost magical. In the first 72 hours, 17 major cities disappeared. Not destroyed. Disappeared. Satellite imagery showed nothing but smooth glass-like surfaces where metropolises like Tokyo, Mumbai, and Los Angeles had once stood. No debris. No radiation. Simply absence, as if entire urban centers had been surgically removed from existence. Military strategists gathered in underground command centers, their faces illuminated by failing holographic displays. General Rebecca Martinez studied the tactical maps, her weathered hands tracing the patterns of destruction. Every conventional strategy had failed. Every defensive line had been obliterated. The swarm didn't conquer. They consumed. Previous civilizations encountered by the silicon-based species had fallen within hours. Entire planetary ecosystems stripped down to molecular components, resources harvested with terrifying efficiency. Humanity was just another target, just another resource to be processed. But something was different this time. Dr. Catherine Williams stood in a secure research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by a team of scientists who had been working nonstop for weeks. Military personnel moved like ghosts around them, bringing fresh coffee, updating communication protocols, defending the last hope of human survival. "We're not fighting a traditional enemy," Catherine explained to a group of military commanders. Her voice was calm, almost clinical. "The swarm doesn't think like biological entities. They're a computational system, a living algorithm designed to optimize resource extraction." On the massive screens surrounding them, captured footage of swarm attacks played in loop. Ships that could reconfigure themselves mid-battle, weapons that seemed to predict human defensive movements before they happened. Technology so advanced it bordered on precognition. Global governments had long since abandoned traditional power structures. The United Earth Defense Council now controlled all resources, all research, all hope. Every industry had been converted into a war effort. Universities became research stations. Factories transformed into weapon production facilities. Civilian populations were relocated to underground shelters. Humanity was no longer fighting a war. They were fighting for survival. The first true breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A team of quantum physicists, artificial intelligence experts, and unconventional military strategists discovered something extraordinary about the swarm's computational nature. They were predictable, not in their actions, but in their underlying logic. Every swarm action was part of a massive computational process. They evaluated, calculated, and executed with mathematical precision. This meant they could be studied, understood, and potentially outsmarted. General Martinez looked at the research team. "You're telling me we can hack an entire alien species?" Dr. Williams smiled, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We're telling you we can rewrite their fundamental operational parameters." The underground facility buzzed with a new energy. For the first time since the invasion began, there was something resembling hope. Not blind optimism, but a cold, calculated possibility of survival. Outside, another swarm ship passed overhead. Its impossible geometry blocked out what remained of the daylight. Millions of humans watched from reinforced shelters, waiting, wondering if this would be the moment humanity finally disappeared. They didn't know it yet, but they were about to change everything. The research facility, buried deep beneath the Colorado Rockies, hummed with an energy that defied human exhaustion. Stark white walls reflected the harsh light of holographic displays, each screen a window into humanity's most desperate scientific endeavor. Dr. Michael Rodriguez hadn't slept in 96 hours. His team represented humanity's last hope, a collection of the world's most brilliant minds, dragged from universities, private research facilities, and government labs. Quantum physicists worked alongside neural network experts. Mathematicians collaborated with aerospace engineers. The traditional boundaries of scientific disciplines had dissolved, replaced by a singular, brutal mission: find a way to survive. "We're looking at quantum entanglement all wrong," Michael muttered, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. Lines of code and mathematical equations swirled around him like living things. Caffeine and desperation fueled every calculation. Dr. Elena Gonzalez, a quantum computing expert, approached with a fresh cup of coffee. Her eyes told a story of sleepless nights and mounting pressure. "The swarm's computational systems are beyond anything we've ever seen," she said. "Traditional hacking methods are useless. We need something fundamental." The wall-sized display showed captured swarm ship schematics. Not blueprints, but quantum-level analyses that revealed something terrifying. The alien technology wasn't just advanced, it was alive. A computational organism that processed information faster than human minds could comprehend. "They're not just a species," Michael explained to a group of military advisors watching via secure transmission. "They're a distributed computing system. Each ship, each unit is a node in a massive planet-scale quantum computer." General Rebecca Martinez leaned forward, her cybernetic eye flickering with enhanced data overlays. "Can we exploit that?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Weeks of failed attempts had stripped away scientific caution. They were beyond theoretical limitations now. Every calculation was a potential lifeline, every theory a weapon. The breakthrough came from an unexpected intersection of disciplines. Dr. James Wong, a neural network specialist, had been studying the swarm's communication patterns, not their language, their fundamental computational logic. He discovered something extraordinary. The swarm's distributed system had a critical vulnerability, a computational blind spot that emerged when processing complex, nonlinear information. "It's like a cognitive bias," James explained, his hands moving rapidly across holographic displays. "But at a quantum computational level." Michael Rodriguez saw it immediately. The implications were both beautiful and terrifying. If they could create a quantum signal complex enough to exploit this blind spot, they might be able to do more than just defend. They could potentially disrupt the entire swarm's computational network. The team worked in shifts that blurred the lines between day and night. Food was delivered through sealed airlocks. Communication with the outside world was limited to critical mission updates. Family photos hung on personal workstations, silent reminders of what they were fighting for. "We're not just developing a weapon," Michael told his exhausted team during a rare moment of collective breath. "We're creating a quantum scalpel that can surgically remove entire computational threats from existence." The mathematics were beautiful in their terrifying simplicity. Each calculation represented a potential key to humanity's survival or its ultimate destruction. Prototype devices began to take shape. Quantum entanglement generators that could create cascading disruption patterns. Computational weapons that could theoretically unravel the molecular bonds of entire system networks. General Martinez watched the progress with a mixture of hope and terror. "What are the chances?" she asked Dr. Rodriguez during a secure briefing. Michael's response was brutally honest. 50-50. "We either save humanity or ensure its complete destruction." Outside the underground facility, another swarm ship passed overhead, its impossible geometry a constant reminder of the stakes. Humanity had always been good at impossible things. They were about to prove it again. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter became humanity's last stand. 50,000 swarm ships stretched across the void like a living nightmare of geometric precision. Each vessel a computational node, each movement calculated with mathematical perfection. Against them, 127 human ships represented more than a fleet. They were humanity's final hope. Admiral Elena Martinez stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance, her hand steady despite the impossible odds. Cybernetic neural interfaces connected her directly to the ship's systems, transforming her into a living component of the vessel. "Quantum disruption teams, prepare primary sequence," she commanded. The human fleet looked nothing like traditional warships. Retrofitted research vessels, converted mining platforms, commercial shuttles transformed into weapons of last resort. Each ship carried the most dangerous experimental technology ever conceived by human minds. Quantum entanglement mines. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath. The swarm's computational network had never encountered a threat like this. Their predictive algorithms failed against the chaotic, unpredictable nature of human desperation. Where alien tactics sought optimization, human strategy embraced the impossible. Dr. Michael Rodriguez's quantum disruption protocols ran through the fleet's systems. Mathematical equations became weapons. Computational logic transformed into a shield against annihilation. First contact happened in absolute silence. No explosions, no traditional weapon discharge, just a subtle quantum cascade that began at the molecular level. The first swarm ship simply unraveled. Its molecular structure dissolved like sugar in water, but with mathematical precision that defied conventional physics. No debris, no traditional explosion, just a sudden absence where a massive computational vessel had existed moments before. Quantum cascade stabilized, a computer voice reported. One ship became 10, 10 became 100. The swarm's distributed network began to experience computational failure faster than it could adapt. Admiral Martinez watched the holographic displays with clinical precision. Each disappearing swarm vessel represented more than a military victory. It was a fundamental challenge to the very concept of technological superiority. "They can be unmade," she whispered. The human fleet moved with a choreography that seemed almost magical. Ships that should have been destroyed danced between swarm vessels, deploying quantum disruption mines with surgical precision. Each deployment was a complex mathematical equation made manifest. Communication between swarm ships began to break down. Their perfect, distributed network revealed its first true weakness. Humanity had found the computational blind spot. Dr. James Wong's theoretical work transformed from abstract mathematics into a weapon of survival. The quantum entanglement generators created cascading disruption patterns that spread through the swarm's network like a computational virus. Ships began to vanish. Not destroyed, not exploded, simply removed from existence. 50,000 swarm vessels began to reduce. Thousands became hundreds, hundreds became dozens. The perfect, distributed computational system collapsed under the weight of its own complexity. All quantum disruption protocols at maximum efficiency, the ship's artificial intelligence reported. Admiral Martinez allowed herself the smallest smile. Humanity had always been good at impossible things. This was beyond impossible. This was rewriting the fundamental rules of conflict. As the last swarm vessels disappeared, something fundamental changed in the universe. The computational species that had consumed countless civilizations had met an opponent they could not predict, could not optimize against, could not survive. The asteroid belt, once a battlefield, now held nothing but silence and hope. Humanity had just changed everything. The grand chamber of the Galactic Consul fell into a silence so profound it seemed to consume sound itself. Holographic representations of 1,000 different species hung suspended in the void, their collective consciousness struggling to process what had just occurred. The destruction of the swarm, a computational species that had consumed countless civilizations, had been accomplished by a species most had dismissed as primitive. Humanity. Ambassador Zixtal's 9 tentacles curled and uncurled in a display of pure, unbridled emotion. The diplomatic translator implants struggled to categorize the feeling. Fear, respect, something far more complex. "Replay the transmission," demanded the Coronan Stellar Confederation representative, a being of pure energy contained within an intricate crystalline framework. The battle footage materialized. 50,000 swarm ships reduced to nothing through a quantum disruption technique that defied every known law of physics. No conventional weapons, no massive explosions, just a systematic, mathematical unmaking of an entire computational species. Dr. Lyra Quantum Stevens, the human representative, remained perfectly still. Her calm was a calculated performance, a demonstration of humanity's newfound confidence. "Questions?" she asked simply. The chamber erupted, not with anger, not with violence, but with a cacophony of translated communications that threatened to overload even the most advanced translation matrices. The Obsidian Swarm Collective's representative, a being composed of interconnected mineral structures, spoke first. Its voice resonated like grinding stones. "Explain the quantum cascade protocol." Lyra's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Survival," she responded. Historical records would later show this moment as the precise instant the galactic power dynamics fundamentally shifted. Humanity had not just survived. They had redefined the very concept of technological warfare. Deep within the Consul's archives, analysts began reconstructing humanity's technological trajectory. The speed was unprecedented. A species that had been fighting ground wars with projectile weapons mere decades ago had now developed quantum disruption technology that could unravel entire computational networks. Ambassador Zixtel's preliminary report was a masterpiece of diplomatic understatement. Humanity represents an unprecedented variable in galactic strategic calculations. Previous assessment protocols are now obsolete. The Quantum Nexus Alliance demanded detailed technical schematics. The Coronan Stellar Confederation requested diplomatic meetings. Every advanced civilization suddenly recognized what they had missed. Humanity was not just another species to be categorized. They were a force of nature. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had been instrumental in developing the quantum disruption technology, watched the diplomatic proceedings from a secure facility on Earth. Her team had become instant legends, though few outside their immediate circle would ever know the full details of their work. "We didn't just develop a weapon," she told her closest colleagues. "We developed a new language of conflict." The implications began to ripple across known space. The swarm had been more than just a species. They were a computational system that had consumed civilizations for millennia. Their method of conquest was mathematical optimization. Find a civilization, analyze its resources, consume it completely. Humanity had not just defeated them. They had found the fundamental flaw in their computational logic. They couldn't adapt, Dr. Rodriguez explained in a classified briefing. Their entire existence was based on predictive algorithms. We introduced chaos. True, unpredictable human innovation. In the Galactic Consul chamber, diplomatic protocols began to shift. Species that had existed for thousands of years found themselves reassessing everything they knew about technological development, about warfare, about survival. Humanity had always been an anomaly, a species that seemed to progress in unexpected bursts, a civilization that broke rules, that found solutions where others saw only impossible challenges. Now they were something else entirely, a wild card, a variable that could not be calculated. A species that had just announced its arrival on the galactic stage in the most spectacular way possible. Ambassador Zixtel's final recommendation to the Consul was brutally simple. Observe, understand, but do not, under any circumstances, underestimate them again. The true nature of humanity's quantum weaponry became a subject of intense galactic scrutiny. Dr. Catherine Williams stood before a classified review board, her presentation hologram casting sharp shadows across the secure briefing room. Behind her, complex mathematical models danced, visual representations of a technology that could reshape reality itself. "We didn't just create a weapon," she explained, her voice calm and clinical. "We discovered a fundamental method of manipulating space-time at its most basic level." The quantum entanglement cascade was more than a military technology. It was a philosophical breakthrough that challenged every known understanding of physical reality. Theoretical models suggested the weapon could do more than destroy. It could selectively remove matter from existence. Entire planetary systems could be surgically extracted from space without leaving so much as a gravitational disturbance. No debris, no radiation. Simply absence. Military strategists worldwide understood the terrible implications. This was beyond mutually assured destruction. This was the ability to surgically remove threats with mathematical precision. Dr. Michael Rodriguez's research team had discovered something extraordinary about quantum-level interactions. The weapon wasn't just a tool of destruction. It was a computational scalpel that could rewrite fundamental physical laws. Imagine, he told a group of stunned scientific advisors, being able to remove a specific molecular structure without disturbing anything around it. We're talking about the ability to erase specific computational systems, specific molecular configurations, with absolute precision. The global scientific community worked in shifts, understanding they were treading on the edge of something unprecedented. Every calculation, every test, revealed new layers of complexity. Galactic diplomatic channels buzzed with speculation and terror. The Coron and Stellar Confederation demanded detailed briefings. The Quantum Nexus Alliance attempted to negotiate access to the research. Every advanced civilization recognized the fundamental shift in technological capability. Humanity had discovered something beyond a weapon. They had discovered a new language of existence. Dr. Elena Gonzalez, leading the quantum computational research, broke down the technology's core principles. Traditional weapons destroy, she explained. Our quantum cascade doesn't just destroy. It mathematically removes the possibility of existence. Simulation after simulation proved the terrifying potential. A quantum signal could theoretically selectively remove specific molecular structures, disrupt computational networks across vast distances, rewrite fundamental physical interactions, create localized space-time disruptions. The military implications were staggering, but the scientific implications were even more profound. General Rebecca Martinez understood the weapon's true value wasn't offensive, it was defensive. We're not looking to conquer, she told the United Earth Defense Council. We're looking to ensure our survival against threats we can't yet imagine. Each test revealed new layers of complexity. The quantum cascade wasn't just a technological breakthrough. It was a fundamental reimagining of physical interaction. Dr. James Wong's neural network analyses showed something even more extraordinary. The weapon's computational logic could potentially predict and neutralize computational threats, create adaptive defensive networks, develop predictive computational strategies. The Galactic Consul's classified reports painted a terrifying picture. Humanity had developed a technology that could surgically remove entire computational systems, disrupt advanced technological networks, create localized reality modifications. But beneath the terror was something else. Respect. Humanity had transformed from a species considered marginally interesting to a fundamental variable in galactic strategic calculations. We're not trying to conquer, Dr. Williams said during a secure transmission to galactic diplomatic channels. We're trying to survive. The quantum cascade represented more than a weapon. It was a declaration. Humanity would not be consumed. Humanity would not be ignored. And most importantly, humanity would define its own existence. The United Earth Assembly chamber fell silent as Dr. Jonathan Williams approached the central podium. Holographic displays surrounded him, broadcasting the message to every human settlement and to the watchful eyes of the Galactic Consul. We are not conquerors, he began, his voice steady and clear. We are survivors. The declaration was both a promise and a warning. Humanity's quantum cascade technology represented more than a weapon. It was a firebreak, a guarantee of peace through the most terrifying form of mutually assured destruction ever conceived. Global leaders had spent months crafting this moment. Every word, every nuance carefully considered. The message needed to be clear, unambiguous, a demonstration of strength tempered by a commitment to peaceful coexistence. Dr. Williams continued, his hands moving subtly to activate holographic displays that showed the full potential of their technological breakthrough. Mathematical models danced in the air, revealing the quantum cascade's capabilities, not as a weapon of aggression, but as the ultimate defensive technology. "We can remove computational threats with surgical precision," he explained. "But we choose not to. We choose dialogue. We choose cooperation." The subtext was clear. Humanity could destroy entire computational networks across vast distances, but they would not. Diplomatic channels across the galaxy watched with a mixture of terror and fascination. The Coronan Stellar Confederation's representatives leaned forward, their crystalline bodies shifting with intense concentration. The Obsidian Swarm Collective's mineral-based diplomats processed every nuance of the transmission. Dr. Catherine Rodriguez, lead diplomatic strategist, had spent months preparing this moment. The declaration was a careful balance, a show of absolute technological superiority coupled with a genuine offer of peaceful cooperation. Classified diplomatic records would later reveal the true complexity of the strategy. Humanity wasn't just making a declaration. They were redefining the rules of galactic interaction. "We understand the fear," Dr. Williams continued. "Our technology can disrupt entire computational networks, remove molecular structures with mathematical precision, but we choose restraint." The holographic displays shifted, showing simulations of potential threats, computational invasions, systemic attacks. Each scenario demonstrated humanity's ability to neutralize threats before they could fully form. But each simulation also showed something else: mercy, calculation, a fundamental commitment to preservation. Ambassador Lyra Quantum Stevens watched from the Galactic Consul chambers, her posture a careful blend of confidence and diplomatic nuance. This was more than a speech. This was a geopolitical chess move that would reshape galactic dynamics. Military strategists worldwide understood the true brilliance of the approach. By demonstrating absolute capability while simultaneously offering peace, humanity created a new paradigm of interstellar diplomacy. "We do not seek to replace," Dr. Williams stated. "We seek to coexist." The quantum cascade technology represented the ultimate defensive mechanism, a computational shield that could neutralize threats before they could fully form. But it was also a promise, a commitment to using power with responsibility. Classified diplomatic communications revealed the true depth of the strategy. Demonstrate absolute technological superiority. Offer genuine cooperation. Create a new paradigm of galactic interaction. Ensure humanity's survival through intelligent restraint. The Galactic Consul's preliminary analysis was revealing. Humanity had not just developed a technological breakthrough. They had discovered a new language of interstellar diplomacy. Strength tempered by wisdom. Capability balanced with restraint. Dr. Jonathan Williams concluded his address with a statement that would be remembered for generations. "We can destroy, but we choose to build." The galaxy held its breath. Humanity had just changed everything. Years passed. The moment humanity had transformed galactic civilization became a pivotal point in interstellar history. Not a battle, not a declaration of war, but a fundamental redefinition of possibility. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in her research facility, surrounded by holographic displays that mapped humanity's ongoing technological evolution. The quantum cascade technology that had once threatened to unmake reality now served as a foundation for unprecedented scientific collaboration. Galactic research stations now featured human scientists working alongside species that had once considered humanity a mere footnote. The Coronan Stellar Confederation, once terrified of human capabilities, now sought joint research partnerships. The Quantum Nexus Alliance studied human computational approaches with a mixture of respect and fascination. Ambassador Zixtel's diplomatic archives became required reading across multiple civilizations. The initial transmission, that trembling whisper of technological potential, had become a turning point in galactic understanding. Humanity was never just about survival, Dr. Rodriguez told a group of young researchers. We were about transformation. The quantum cascade technology had evolved. No longer a weapon of last resort, it had become a tool of unprecedented scientific exploration. Researchers could now map interdimensional computational networks, understand molecular interactions at unprecedented levels, develop adaptive medical technologies, create computational systems that could predict and prevent systemic failures. Global settlements had changed. Underground research facilities that had been humanity's last hope during the swarm invasion now served as beacon sites of scientific innovation. Every major city featured quantum research centers that attracted scientists from across known space. General Rebecca Martinez, now leading the United Earth Scientific Exploration Council, understood the true victory. "We didn't just survive," she often said. "We reimagined what survival means." Diplomatic records showed how humanity had fundamentally altered galactic interaction protocols. The old models of conquest and resource extraction had been replaced by a more nuanced approach: cooperation, mutual development, shared scientific exploration. The swarm's computational invasion had been more than a threat. It had been a catalyst. Humanity had discovered something profound about themselves. Their greatest strength was not technological superiority. It was adaptability. The ability to transform threat into opportunity. Research stations across known space now featured human scientists working on projects that would have seemed impossible decades earlier. Computational networks that could predict ecological changes, molecular reconstruction technologies, interdimensional communication protocols, adaptive medical systems that could respond to multiple biological structures. Dr. Catherine Williams, now leading the Galactic Collaborative Research Initiative, reflected on their journey. "We didn't just develop a technology," she explained during a galactic conference. "We developed a new way of understanding existence." The trembling whisper that had once terrified the Galactic Consul had transformed into a symphony of scientific collaboration. Humanity had not conquered. They had invited. Not through force, not through threat, but through an unprecedented demonstration of potential. Ambassador Lyra Quantum Stevens, reviewing diplomatic archives, found herself smiling. The initial transmission, that quantum-laden message that had caused such terror, now seemed like a simple introduction, a hello from a species the galaxy had dramatically underestimated. "We are here," the message had essentially said, "and we are remarkable." In research stations, diplomatic halls, and scientific conferences across known space, humanity continued to demonstrate that remarkable quality. Not through aggression, but through an unquenchable curiosity, a fundamental drive to understand, to explore, to transform. The universe itself seemed to hold its breath, wondering what humans might discover next.